Long ago, in a fertile valley surrounded by forests and distant mountains, there stood a quiet monastery where life moved gently, guided by simplicity and trust. The monks who lived there owned very little. They carried only what they needed, and they welcomed each day without fear of what it might bring. Near the monastery lived a young potter named Kavi. Kavi was skilled with his hands and careful in his work, but his mind was rarely at peace. From the moment he woke each morning, worry followed him like a shadow. He worried about food, about money, about tomorrow, and about losing what little he had. Each day, Kavi shaped clay into bowls and jars at his wheel. The clay responded kindly to his touch, yet his thoughts did not. When he sold many pots, he feared the next day would bring nothing. When he sold few, fear filled his heart immediately. No matter what happened, his mind was never satisfied. One morning, as Kavi prepared his wares for the market, he noticed the monks gathering for their daily alms walk. Each monk carried only a single bowl. Their steps were slow, their faces calm, and their eyes free from worry. Kavi watched them in confusion. How can they walk so peacefully with empty bowls, he wondered. Do they not fear hunger? Do they not worry about tomorrow? That question followed him all day, growing heavier with each thought. By evening, unable to quiet his mind, Kavi walked toward the monastery. Under a large neem tree sat the Buddha, surrounded by monks and a few villagers. The air around him felt still, as if even the wind had slowed down. Kavi bowed deeply and spoke of his fears, his work, and his constant worry about what might come next. The Buddha listened without interruption. When Kavi finished, the Buddha asked gently, "Tell me, Kavi, how many bowls have you made in your life?" "Hundreds," Kavi replied, "perhaps thousands." "And how many have broken?" the Buddha asked. "Many," Kavi said with a small smile. "Clay is fragile." The Buddha nodded. "Yet you continue to make bowls." "Yes," said Kavi, "because people still need them." The Buddha lifted his own alms bowl and held it before them. "This bowl," he said softly, "is often empty in the morning, but by midday it is full." Kavi looked puzzled. "An empty bowl is not the problem. A mind that fears emptiness is." The Buddha then invited Kavi to stay at the monastery for a few days and observe. The next morning, Kavi walked with the monks through the village. Some days, villagers placed generous portions of food into the bowls. Other days, the bowls remained nearly empty. Yet the monks walked the same way every day, calm, unhurried, and grateful. Kavi noticed something that surprised him. The monks ate peacefully whether their bowls were full or half empty. They did not cling to abundance, nor did they complain about lack. One evening, Kavi asked a senior monk, "Do you never worry about tomorrow?" The monk smiled gently. "Tomorrow has its own bowl." Those words echoed in Kavi's heart. That night, Kavi dreamed he was carrying a bowl filled to the brim with water. He walked carefully, afraid to spill a single drop. His arms trembled, his steps were tense, and fear filled every breath. Suddenly, the bowl cracked. Water poured out onto the ground. Kavi froze, overwhelmed by fear. Then, without warning, rain began to fall. The bowl filled again on its own. Kavi did nothing at all. When he awoke before sunrise, something felt different. The tight knot in his chest had loosened. Kavi returned to his work with new awareness. He still shaped clay with care, but he no longer counted every coin with fear. When sales were good, he felt gratitude instead of anxiety. When sales were poor, he worked patiently instead of panicking. Slowly, people began to notice. There was a calmness in Kavi's presence. His pots felt steadier, warmer, as if peace itself had shaped them. Without chasing customers, he found that people were drawn to him. Years passed. Kavi often visited the monastery, sitting quietly as the monks ate their simple meals. He no longer feared empty bowls because he trusted the rhythm of life. One day, a young boy looked at Kavi and asked, "Isn't it scary to live with so little?" Kavi smiled and held up an empty bowl. "An empty bowl can always be filled," he said gently, "but a fearful mind is never satisfied." As the sun set behind the hills, the Buddha spoke to the gathered villagers. He said, "We suffer not because life is uncertain, but because we demand certainty from it. When we learn to trust the flow, the bowl is never truly empty." And from that day on, Kavi understood a simple truth. Life will empty the bowl. Life will fill it again. Peace does not come from what the bowl holds, but from trusting the hands that carry it.